You wake up at 3:17 in the morning. The bedroom is dark except for a thin blue line of light leaking under the door. You reach for your phone before you reach for the glass of water. The first headline you see has the word collapse in it. Then crash. Then trillions wiped. Your chest tightens in a very particular way, not panic, exactly, more like a slow contraction behind the sternum. You open your brokerage app. The numbers are red. They have been red before, but tonight the red feels different. Tonight the red feels like a verdict. You scroll through 3 more headlines, each more vivid than the last, each painting a clearer picture of ruin. A photograph of a trader with his head in his hands. A graph that points down like a knife. Your thumb hovers over the sell button. You do not sell. Not yet. But you imagine selling, and the imagining feels like relief, and the relief feels like proof that selling is the right thing to do. What you do not know, what almost no one in this state knows, is that your brain has just done something it does every single day, in 1,000 smaller ways, and that this single mechanism is quietly responsible for most of the financial decisions you have ever regretted. It has a name. It was discovered in 1973 by 2 Israeli psychologists. And it is the reason you are awake right now, staring at a screen, mistaking vividness for truth. Level 1 complete. But here's where most people stay. It is 2 days later. The market has recovered most of what it lost. You did not sell. You feel a small, unearned pride about this, the way someone feels when they nearly slip on ice and don't. You are in a coffee shop now, the espresso machine hissing behind you, the smell of burnt sugar in the air. You are scrolling, again, and you notice something for the first time. You notice that you only ever think about investing after you have heard about someone losing. You think about real estate when a friend's cousin gets foreclosed on. You think about your retirement account when a podcast host mentions a recession. You think about your career when someone you went to school with posts about being laid off. The thinking, you realize, is always reactive. It is always triggered by a story. And the louder the story, the louder your thinking becomes. You sit with this for a moment. You try to remember the last time you made a financial decision based on a number you actually looked up, a base rate, historical average, an actual probability. You cannot remember one. Every decision you can recall traces back to a story someone told you, or a headline you read, or an image that lodged in your mind and would not leave. You do not yet know what to do with this observation. But for the first time, the pattern is visible. Level 2 complete. But here's where most people stay. You decide to fix it. You install an app that locks your brokerage account behind a 60-second delay. You unsubscribe from 3 finance newsletters. You move your phone to the kitchen at night. You read a book about long-term investing and underline a sentence about not watching the market more than once a quarter. For 9 days, you feel powerful. You feel like a person who has, finally, taken control. On the 10th day, you are in a parking lot. The fluorescent light above your car is humming. You overhear 2 men talking about a stock that has tripled in a month. You do not catch the name clearly. You catch enough. By the time you are home, you have looked it up. By the time you have eaten dinner, you have bought it. You did not break a rule, exactly. You simply found, in the space between rules, a story so vivid that the rules became invisible. This is the trap of level 3. You believed willpower could outrun a mechanism. You believed friction could replace understanding. But the brain that responds to vividness is not the brain that follows checklists. The brain that responds to vividness is older, faster, and almost completely uninterested in your stated goals. And until you understand what it is actually doing, every system you build to stop it will eventually fail, not loudly, but quietly, in parking lots, in elevators, in the slow seconds before sleep. Level 3 complete. But here's where most people stay. You find the paper almost by accident. It is from 1973. The authors are Amos Tversky and Kahneman, two psychologists who would, decades later, change the way the world thinks about thinking. The paper has a quiet, almost boring title. It is about a mental shortcut they called the availability heuristic. The idea is simple, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. When your brain estimates how likely something is, it does not pull up statistics. It pulls up examples. And the easier the examples are to recall, the more probable the event feels. A plane crash on the news makes flying feel deadly. A friend's cancer makes the disease feel more common. A red market headline at 3 a.m. makes a crash feel imminent. The brain is not lying to you. The brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, treat vividness as a proxy for frequency. In a world where the only things you heard about were the things that happened to your tribe, this shortcut was a survival miracle. In a world of algorithmic news feeds and 24-hour financial coverage, it is the silent engine of bad decisions. You read the paper twice. Then a third time. Something settles in your chest. Not relief, exactly. More like the feeling of finally knowing the name of the thing that has been following you. And once a thing has a name, it can be watched. Level 4 complete. But here's where most people stay. The shift begins quietly. You do not announce it. You do not post about it. You simply add one step before every financial decision, and the step is this: before you act on what comes to mind, you search for what does not. A headline frightens you. Before you log into your account, you open a new tab and search for the historical base rate. How often, in the last 100 years, has the market dropped this much in a single week? How often has it recovered within a year? The numbers are not what your brain wanted. The numbers are calmer. The numbers are wider. A friend tells you about a stock that doubled. Before you buy, you search for the base rate of single stocks that double, and the base rate of single stocks that fall by half. You learn that both happen. You learn which happens more often. You begin, slowly, to distrust the first picture your mind hands you. You treat it the way a careful detective treats a witness who is too eager to talk. You let it speak. Then you ask for evidence. This is what the wealthy mind does, not because it is colder, but because it has learned that the first image is almost never the full picture. The vividness is a clue. The data is the case. And from now on, you build the case before you make the move. Level 5 complete. But here's where most people stay. The test arrives without warning. It is a Tuesday afternoon. A geopolitical event you did not see coming hits every feed at once. Markets drop sharply within the hour. Your phone buzzes with 3 different alerts in 90 seconds. A friend texts you in all capital letters. Another friend calls. The old pathway lights up exactly the way it always has. The chest tightens. The thumb itches. The story writes itself in your mind faster than you can read it: sell, protect, escape. And then, for the first time, something else happens. You notice the pathway. You feel it firing, and you watch it fire, and you do not act on it. You stand up. You walk to the kitchen. You drink a full glass of water before you do anything else. You sit back down and you open the spreadsheet you built 3 months ago, the one with the historical base rates and the recovery windows and the boring, almost insulting averages. You read it for 4 minutes. The chest loosens. The thumb stills. The story in your head goes from a screen to a sentence to a question. The question is, what does the data actually say about events like this? The answer, when you find it, is not what your brain wanted to hear. The answer is that this has happened before, many times, and that the people who acted on the vividness almost always lost. Level 6 complete. But here's where most people stay. Months pass. The behavior is no longer a behavior. It is a reflex. You do not feel the same urgency when a headline appears. You do not feel the same pull when a friend describes a hot stock. Your brain still produces the vivid image, it cannot help itself, but the image now arrives accompanied by a small, almost involuntary thought: where is the base rate? The thought used to be a chore. Now it is a habit, and habits, as research on neural pathways suggests, become physically easier each time they fire. The wiring is real. The change is real. You begin to notice second-order effects. You sleep better, because you no longer check the markets at night. You read fewer headlines, because headlines, you now understand, are vividness machines, and you have stopped feeding the mechanism that made you their prisoner. Your portfolio looks different. Not dramatically, there is no overnight transformation, but the trajectory has shifted. You are no longer buying high on the days you feel brave and selling low on the days you feel scared. You are buying on schedule, holding through noise, and adjusting based on numbers you actually looked up. Your friends notice that you have become harder to spook. One of them asks you, half joking, "What is wrong with you?" You tell them the truth. You tell them you stopped trusting the first thing that came to mind. Level 7 complete. But here's where most people stay. You are at a dinner now. Years later. The table is long, the lighting is warm, the conversation drifts toward the markets. Someone at the end of the table is animated, almost shouting, about a story they read this morning. Another guest leans forward and asks what you think. The room quiets, the way rooms do when a question lands on someone who does not speak often. You take a slow breath. You do not feel the old tightening in the chest. You feel, instead, a kind of stillness, the stillness of a person who has, finally, separated what is loud from what is true. You answer briefly. You mention a number. You mention a base rate. You mention that the story being told tonight has been told before, in different costumes, in different decades, and that the data on what happens next is boring in the way that wealth is boring. The table moves on. But two people at it remember what you said, and one of them will, weeks later, ask you to coffee, because something in your comm sounded like a door they had not noticed before. This is the peak. Not a mansion. Not a yacht. The peak is a mind that has learned to ask, before every move, a single quiet question: what does the evidence actually say, and to wait, without flinching, for the honest answer.
Take a slow breath in, and let it out a little longer than you took it in. What you just learned has weight. Your brain estimates risk by what comes to mind easily, not by what is actually likely. Notice that. Let it settle. Feel your chest rise and fall. With each exhale, imagine the loudest headlines getting quieter, moving further away, while the steady data underneath comes closer. This is your default mode network reorganizing around something more accurate. Picture a version of you who pauses before reacting. Who asks, calmly, is this vivid, or is this likely? That person is already forming, quietly, in the circuits you just trained. When you open your eyes, return to the video. Watch the key moment once more, and let the insight anchor.